On the last episode of Van's Stab High, Non-Chlorine, presented by Monster Energy, Indonesia's 20-year-old Rio Waida moved to the top on the Stab High scoreboard when he landed his first ever rodeo, complementing his right and earning a score of 14 for a total score of 22. Judge Nathan Fletcher set the barometer for the Monster Air Award. California's Kevin Schulz is down a hand. Our ladybirds were wrapping up 4 days of nothing but barrels. And the surfers in need of a better right were anxious to return to HTs.
This next one. How good is that?
Feels like the action scene now.
It's firing over now.
HTs, short for hollow trees, is rumored to have been created in the 1940s by the Japanese military bombing the reef to form a channel so they could reach the shore. Now, if you're sitting at the top of the point to find that one dreamy roll-in section, you're at what's called the office. Then, you'll find your way down to the cage. Not long after, you'll hit surgeon's table. And for those who appreciate the obvious details, surgeon's table is shallow with extremely sharp coral heads awaiting. However, with the right wind and wave height, surgeon's table becomes a perfect air section. See, the face at HTs offers a unique cup-like shape, similar to a skateboard ramp, and is where we've seen bruised irons redefine what's possible on this otherwise known as barrel wave. Bruce's surfing out here is actually what Eric, Ian, and Nathan are watching right now to psych up. Inspired by the conditions and the half-dozen alternative surfboards on board, Mikey, Eric, and Brendon decided to experiment.
This is the twin pin. Yeah, the one that I've been working on with Channel Islands. And for me, I enjoy seeing guys like Birch shapes a couple of his own boards, and Ron Noble. I mean, you can see he's just like just likes having different surfs and, you know, feeling what different boards allow and just not sticking to the same thing.
Yeah, I definitely ride weird boards and still try to push it, surf progressively wise.
Younger guys are definitely going to be riding more alternative boards, maybe a little bit sooner.
You got more speed, you got a longer drawn out bottom hand turn, and if you pop off doing that, it just feels amazing. Maybe it is the fact that you're riding something weird and it is challenging, and once you get something down on one of those boards, it's rewarding, yeah.
Just enjoying surfing for in its purest form, and I think being out in the ocean and trying different boards and things like that, and not really having any other distractions.
And twinsies. Look at this thing. Beautiful.
Brendon Gibbens, for instance, he used to just ride standard 6.0 shortboard every time I'd make him a 4-pack of 6.0s.
Anna's been raving about this board for ages, so I figured if there was ever going to be a good opportunity to try it, it'd be right now.
When you paddle one of these out, your whole mindset changes. You're not like the aggressive, angry shortboarder trying to get 100 waves. I guarantee you've probably never ridden a twinser.
Does it come with instructions?
You're constantly trying to work on like your performance shortboards and stuff, and you can't really enjoy anything else. And now I've just enjoyed riding different boards and having different types of surfs, and yeah, less pressure, but a lot more fun.
People practice on these alternative crafts.
Now it is time for the little ladies to take the pool, the Ladybirds event, and we have some pretty insane young up-and-coming rippers. Sierra, mute. Oh my gosh! Give her the check.
That was insane.
Watching the Stab High in Waco was super exciting, I think, just to see like the tiny little girls be able to go so big and land and proper, and I think it motivated us to want to just go and land some ourselves. This next generation is so cool, and I love to see how they're already hanging out, they're already going on month-long trips together, they're all pushing each other, and I totally think being together is going to help them progress so quickly. You can already see it.
What I like the most about Erin is she's super focused on surfing, but when you get her on land, she's super funny.
We just won. What impresses me about Erin Brooks is the speed at which she learned to surf, the quickness. You know, she just learned to surf a few years ago.
I'm Erin Brooks, I'm 13 years old, and I'm from the North Shore of Oahu. What motivates me to surf the way I do is all of the girls who are just pushing it really hard. I want to be as good as them or even better. My goals are to make the world tour, become a world champion, and be the best surfer that I can possibly be.
I really like Erin's airs, how fast she can spin and how much control she has. And her surfing's just super sick and explosive.
I think her strong point is just that really, really strong foundation. For such a little girl, she's very gym perfect in every maneuver she does, even a turn, a snap, a cutback in the barrel. So I think that is her golden ticket. This generation is going to be deadly.
The level of ladybird surfing has definitely increased. Everybody's doing more progressive maneuvers, and they're getting higher in the air, and they're doing more backside maneuvers. So it's really cool to see all of us just pushing each other super hard.
Finally, after 3 days surfing a right and 2 days a left, like all these discussions, there was one last question. Where are we surfing tomorrow?
It's day 6 in the Mentawai Islands, and we got our boat stayed at Lance's. The other boat went to a left. I won't say the name.
Eric won't say where, but I will. See Matt, Tanner, Kevin, as well as Nathan and Mikey placed a bet on an unlikely wave.
It's perfect lefts, nobody around him.
Lance's left, which is often referred to as a mushburger, due to the wave lacking any real power or lift.
It's going off. It's still going off. There's nobody out. The goofy footers are all in this boat. We're psyched. Look at this. Look. Sink. Dude, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. The whole trip. We finally got good wind. There's some sections.
Little did Eric and the HT's crew know, the other boat's bet was paying off, specifically for Airwind pundit Matt Neola.
She's a bit bruised up at the moment, but it's good. I kind of just black out and fight through the pain, and it's plenty good enough out there. I came up and it was just like, you know, you see the twinklies, like, I was like, whoa. The wind was there. There was like, I thought there was just a little more forgiving landings. Like there was waves that had a cut. We just had an hour and I felt like I had more attempts in that hour than I've had the whole trip. Honestly, the full row to me felt like it was like a gnarlier section.
Matt, question. Why did that full row, as you called it, feel better?
The airs I'm most excited about now are on bigger waves, because I feel like you just don't see as much of that. I could do really tech stuff on smaller waves, but it doesn't feel nearly as good as doing something on a huge wave that's maybe not as tech, and it takes a lot of balls and there's way more risk involved.
I saw some airs recently from Maui, and dude, they need some crash gear on. They're spinning so fast to the flats, it's like painful to watch.
For me, like when I do a air on a big wave, I'm a lot more excited than a smaller wave, for sure. And especially if you stomp it clean on a big wave, for me, that's like my favorite feeling.
Meanwhile, the 8 surfers who stayed back at HT's were about to have their moment.
I don't know. Who knows what they're doing across the channel? They could be getting super wacky.
They can't even see. Oh, he over-rotated. Oh! Oh! Oh, no! Oh, holy shit. Oh shit. What? Oh!
Stop right here. Let's break down why Ian's stalefish is actually so significant. In 2018, at his first visit to BSR Surf Resort, Ian Crane was attempting to backside air reverses with a stalefish grab, or what is often referred to as just a backside stalefish. On his second visit to BSR, just 1 week before the first ever stab high, he finally pulled one and then landed a couple more back in the ocean over the course of the next year. After stab high in 2019, where Ian made his second final in a row by landing another backside stalefish in competition, this grab and direction were now synonymous with Crane. But if this maneuver was ever going to progress, it would have to be performed in the ocean, in bigger, and like stab founder and publisher Sam McIntosh said, an uglier surf. And like that, Ian's now the first surfer on record to pull one at HT's.
That was Crane.
I landed it pretty good. I was like, oh, sick. This thing's got a section. And I like held on. I was like, woo, landed it. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, it felt good. It's pretty sick.
It was,
especially because I wasn't expecting to like do anything out there. I'd like given up on the session. I was like, fuck, I feel like I'm getting sick or something. And then everyone kept landing airs, and then you like came in, you're like, oh, the boys with the left, and they're doing big airs, and like everyone was doing airs. I was like, whatever. Like, I guess I'm just in last place. But...
Sorry, me again. No surfer is yet to receive a 10 in stab high. Why? Because this score will be saved for the obvious. Without a doubt, that's a fucking 10. While Ian's air was close, it wasn't a 10 because say we give this air a 10. What happens if tomorrow he does another one, but higher and more critical? Then what do we score him? Now with Matt and Ian's waves, Mikey and Nathan sat down to score the last 24 hours of surfing, and gave the surfers a full update on how the best waves are being scored after 6 full days of competition.
The only reason we're taking anything away from it is from the landing. On the progressive side, it's a 20-year-old maneuver, but it was definitely executed well. I mean, everything on that was really nice. We said the grab was held a little long for safety, which is totally understandable in those conditions.
Yeah, I really liked this one. It was really nice, and it was high, it was super smooth, and the way he rode out of it was nice and smooth, and yeah, got the tail nice and high, and for rotation, I really liked it, yeah.
You guys should know I scored this a point higher than I scored his rodeo.
I think we all did, yeah.
And the reason being was because it was on a bigger set wave. It was executed properly. We can look at Matt's. Matt did the same, similar thing, perfect. Executed it perfect. But we gave him an extra point, reason being because the criticalness of where he left, the size of the wave, where he landed, the wave was getting bigger and barreling. And then he still executed it perfect, so we couldn't give that the same score as Seb. We had to give it an extra point.
I think it was maybe 2 points high, yeah.
So Seb had more height and more pop, but Matt made his smoother on a bigger wave, and so it equaled out to be almost the same. Maybe it was 1 point or something.
Now, moving on to number 1 right now, we have Ian sitting in the top spot if it was to end. This one we gave 18.
It was a medium-sized wave. but the execution and the distance he covered was really nice. But the thing was on the progressive side, it was very futuristic because you never see people do this. And so like you haven't seen somebody do this ever, especially 20 years ago. And then also the fact that he came down smooth and got right around it. And you know, he could do much better, we know that, but that was his left. And so Ian's right. Pretty inverted, good grab, executed perfectly on the landing. Totally futuristic, nobody's really doing it. I don't think have I ever seen anybody do it? Do we know?
That was insane. Let me see it one more time.
The reason that got a 9 in our book was because that was max height for what that trick is. He went above the lip all the way. It was everything that basically the stab high is looking for, I feel like. So we gave him a 9.
It was high, it was super progressive, very stylish, and it was landed super cleanly.
You got the front side and the back side beachhead.
With a unanimous 27 on his right, Ian now needed to better his left to hold off Eric, Matt, and Seb. And if he was going to do that, it would have to be tomorrow morning at Lance's, or a wave up the point called Silverbacks, because chances were this would be his last time surfing a left.
I think we're pretty much, halfway through?
Day 7.
Day 7? Already? Actually? Yeah. Oh my God. Trip's almost over.
Half the crew's now at Lance's left and half the crew's now at Monkey's.
And then we're going to bank fault tomorrow, so there'll be no more lefts. So I guess I gotta do a better air on the left today.
So we were just trying to cruise and check out a new spot that's possibly more air ready for these guys. So we'll be your guys' eyes and opinion. It's a terrible thing right there. I feel like the wind is the main factor of what is going to help the progression of this event.
And then after this, when the swell picks up a little bit, we're going to head up to Playgrounds, which is also a cool area because there's a lot of waves over there. And one specific wave we're chasing, which is bank faults. It's kind of like the holy grail of right airwaves in the Mentawai. So we all got our fingers crossed that we get that.
Definitely getting to bank faults will be interesting to see the people who don't have their scores and what they do.
With half the crew surfing up the point at Silverbacks and the other half down at Lance's, it quickly became obvious the swell was dying. And today wouldn't be a day where we would see our leader change.
I think it's going to be hard to better your wave anyways today on the size of the swell and the conditions. You could do the same thing out here today and you're going to get a 5.
Yep, exactly.
However, that didn't stop Al Cleland and Kevin Schulz from bettering their lefts. Right around lunch, the crew made the decision rumored on both boats all morning, to leave Silverbacks and start the 8 to 10 hour journey to Kandui, where we could surf bank vaults by early morning, as well as have our first surf with the Ladybirds. This meant Ian's 18 on his left would stay, increasing Matt's odds of overtaking Ian.
On the water at the break, 7 a.m.
Nate and Mikey made a good point of heading up there, and now, rather than just wasting, again, like that morning.
I basically need a 10.
Watch the final episode of Van's Stab High, presented by Monster Energy, to see if Ian can hold on to his lead. the ladybirds shine with the men, and the monster air winner we didn't predict.
You might see some irregular behaviors out of me. Could be good, it could be bad, we don't know. We haven't tested it in quite some time. If I just snake you, don't even trip.